Dear humans, I stand here today not for myself, but for every tail wagger, sloppy kisser, and curtain ninja. I stand here for each one of the thousands of dogs and cats killed in shelters each day, asking you to join our cause and help us make sure every best friend has a chance to meet one of their own. With Best Friends Animal Society leading the charge, and your help, we can save them all.
Somebody's alarm is going off.
Thank you for joining us for Pet Connect. I'm Tara Douglas. If you're wanting to come out to walk dogs this weekend, we'll be at the shelter from 11 to 1, so come on out, and we have plenty of dogs for you to walk. The dog on the right here is Gunther. So he is one of our dogs that's available for adoption at the shelter. Gunther is such a sweet pup. He is less than a year old, and he is he's a little timid. So if you come out to meet him, he'll be excited to get out of the shelter, but then he just wants to be right up against you. So he is a very sweet dog. He's up to date on all of his shots, and he will be ready to go to a home whenever we can find that for him. So we welcome everyone to come out. And if you are thinking about volunteering in some way for the Sylacauga Animal Shelter or the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill, our local rescue, then there are plenty of ways to do it. You know, we got the dog walking every Saturday. We have fostering that's available. If you want to donate your time, then that's a couple of ways you can do it. If you want to donate supplies, then certainly follow this Facebook page. So go to the Sylacauga Animal Shelter and go to the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill Facebook pages, and you can get updates on what kind of supplies are needed. And also you can share all of the posts. So make sure that if you see one of our posts about an available pet, or if you see a post about some of the needs, then please just share it, because you never know who's going to be your Facebook friend that's looking for a pet to adopt or looking to do some sort of volunteering for the shelter. So we welcome every kind of support that we can get. Now we're going to quickly get to our guests today. We have Melissa McEwen and Greg Walton here. They have lots to talk to us about. They own Sammy's Antiques in Wilsonville. They are redoing one of the historic homes in Talladega, and they have dogs. So we've got some great stories that they can tell us about. Thank you guys for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you for having us.
So I thought we would start with Sammy's. So tell us about Sammy's. Tell us the history of that beautiful building you have. And
well, it was built in the 1890s, and originally it was a post office and mercantile building. And my daddy, after he got out of the Navy in 1947, purchased it as a grocery store.
Okay. There's the picture of the front of Sammy's right there.
Yeah. And so he was the original Sammy. It was McEwen Mercantile.
Okay.
And now, after he retired from the grocery business, he always wanted to do antiques, and he had just started the business, and he did pass away. So I'm there now, and so I feel like I'm going to work with Daddy every day.
Well, you have a beautiful store, and there's a picture of your dad in the grocery store, right?
Yeah, that's him.
In the same building.
In the same building, yes.
And that is so nice to be able to have that same building, and you've done such a beautiful job with the antique store. And I know, when I've been there at the antique store, there are people that come from all over that stop through. And you said that you just have, I bet you talk to people all day long, every day, that come from all over the place.
Yes.
Sammy said location, location, location.
Yeah.
And it's right at a good intersection.
It's right there in downtown Wilsonville. But I think that's interesting how many people do drive through there. That you don't think about that, because I've traveled 280 so much that I don't think about who's cutting through and doing all those things through Wilsonville.
Yeah, it's a cut through to get off of 65 or to get on 65.
Lots of beach traffic, so that's fun.
That's great. So you're right there in the thick of things. Do you have anything coming up at Sammy's that we need to know about? Any events? Or?
We're about to have a vendors meeting, so something's in the works, but something in September.
You can find us on Facebook at Sammy's Antiques and More.
Okay. And then what's your address there in Wilsonville?
9829 North Main Street.
Okay.
Right at our one traffic light. Yes.
You can't miss it. You can't. Well, very good. Now you're also, let's talk a little bit about your beautiful home that you're renovating in Talladega. So it's a historic home. So there's the Wren house right there.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the history and how you ended up with that beautiful home and what all you're doing. I know you got lots of stories about that right now.
Well, we actually found I guess the information online, found out who owned the house. I stalked the lady a little bit, but fortunately she didn't like. No, I didn't. Not really. But after a few phone calls, I thought this lady is going to block me for good. But we ended up being friends, and we're the first family out of the family of the Wren family to own the house.
Okay, and it'll. As I've discovered, it doesn't matter how long you're in a house, it's always going to be the Wren house.
Yes, exactly.
And you're fine with that. You call it the Wren house too. So.
We do. We feel like we're the caretakers. Yeah.
Shorty Wren was a famous World War I hero.
Okay.
And so the story of Shorty Wren, Edward Wren, Captain Edward Wren, is fascinating. And his, he just took it all in stride, but the things he did were truly amazing. So he was highly decorated, and we want to remember that and tell that story.
Absolutely, and have a piece of that history.
Yes.
Now, what have you encountered redoing this beautiful?
What have we not
1800s
encountered?
home?
Well,
Let's start there.
the first thing we did was bring Graham Davis of Davis Builders in, and he helped check the structure out foundationally, and it had great bones. It was, built by Robert West, who built a lot of the old homes in Talladega, and designed by Frank Lockwood, who's a famous architect. So it had really good bones.
Wow, and as do most of the older homes, and it's always fortunate when you find one that does, that has held up like that. So what all are you working on right at the moment with the Wren house?
Well, we've gotten our electrical approved, our plumbing approved, and HVAC on the 3rd floor and 2nd floor pretty well installed.
Okay.
So we're kind of at the insulation and drywall. We have drywall in the 3 rooms that get cabinets, so that we can get all those cabinets installed. So right now we're kind of doing floors and drywall.
And I see the two of you often on Facebook working really hard yourselves.
Yes.
You're not just hiring someone to do all the work. I see the two of you scraping floors and doing all kinds of things. But
it's fascinating to try to figure out how to do it and to see what others have tried before us, and then to share what we've discovered.
like peeling away those layers of the onion and see what's
Right.
happened. 'Cause, I mean, that's over 100 years of people doing things to a home. And it's always fascinating to me, too, to have a home that old and then see how beautiful it is and all of the things that people did back in the day when they didn't have all the technology we have now. And you can have,
That's really amazing, yeah.
and then a Victorian house like that, what kind of ornate things that you can have and all the craftsmanship that went into those homes.
Yeah, this girl was born Victorian, so this is a dream to have a Victorian home to restore.
That's great, and we'll definitely have you back on when you get it done, and then you can show us all the finished pictures and before and after and all the exciting things that you've done with the house. And also show us when you move your dogs into the house, because you have some very, very cute dogs.
We'd probably be living there now if it wasn't for all the dogs, because I would camp out there, but it's not good enough for my
Well,
dogs
I don't
right
think
now.
Tallulah here in this picture is going to want to be in an unfinished home.
No.
she's too bougie to be in an unfinished home.
She was there yesterday.
She was checking
Oh,
things
she
out
and had
yesterday.
a
She
ball.
was, yes.
She was prancing around.
So tell us about Tallulah. Where did she come from? What's her story?
Well, actually, I adopted her from Pet Finders, and she was at from a puppy mill in Indiana, and Miss Alabama drove up in the snow to get Tallulah. Her name was Zoe, and when I kept calling her Zoe, and she did not answer.
Okay.
So I tried several different names, and I selected Tallulah, and she leapt like a gazelle. And I thought, I think she likes her name.
She looks like a Tallulah to me. I
She
think you did a good
does.
job with that.
Yeah. So I tried a few other names, then I went back to Tallulah, and I thought, that's her name. She wants to be named Tallulah.
And how old is she now?
She just had her 14th birthday.
So she's had quite the longevity.
She has.
in her little life.
She
there.
loves to eat, and when it's
She's
time
like her
to
mommy.
eat,
Yeah.
she will jump up and down on you until you get that plate in the floor. It's amazing.
Isn't it amazing how they can have age on them like that, but still have so much energy and life and
we make her dog food.
Okay.
And
Yes.
so
It's probably why she's 14 years old. 'Cause
Maybe.
You've been,
Right.
you've been feeding her
She's a
so well.
pampered pup.
There's no McDonald's for Tallulah.
I think Tallulah eats better than I do. Yeah. So.
Actually, the container looks like leftover Chinese food, so
Okay.
you have
And
to
we
be
have to be
careful.
careful.
That you don't eat it accidentally.
That's right.
But it's probably good, so you probably could eat it. And
Except for the liver.
okay.
No.
Now, who is this spoiled?
That's Pepe.
Oh,
He's our little Chihuahua, and he's pretty adorable. He loves his blanket. He thinks he's camouflaged, so he likes.
He
to
loves
hide in it.
Tallulah too. He and Tallulah are best buds.
Yeah, they are.
Now, I don't think we have the picture, but you also sent me a picture of him with a toothbrush.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Somehow he got my toothbrush and is like, yeah.
Oh,
And
there's
this is
Pal's
Pally and his
birthday.
birthday party.
That's
He
his
just-
little cake or cookie.
Yeah.
Now, is that Pepe in the back?
It is.
Okay.
And Tallulah. We didn't have Fella then. No.
That's right. Fella came along.
Yeah, he was later.
Yeah.
Now, tell us the story of Pepe and also Pally. What's
So Pally, again, I found him on Pet Finders. We adopted him. It was an adventure. We went to Oklahoma.
you've driven all over the country to get
Tulsa,
pups.
Oklahoma. It turns out it was the weekend of the professional golf tournament in Tulsa. So we had to stay like 2 hours out.
I know, right, to
gosh.
drive in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So he needed you, but it
He
couldn't
did.
have been worse timing driving out there
right.
to get him. But
But-
it's okay.
Well, this
It all
is
worked
before we
out.
knew
It
about the feral dogs of
I
Avondale
know.
Mills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know about us now.
Yeah,
But
we
he was
do, yeah.
he was from a shelter also. They just dumped off the puppies, and so his foster mom did a really good job, and I'm honored to be.
He's Peppy the Third.
Okay.
What? We're talking about Pal now. We moved
Oh,
on.
we're talking to
Yeah,
Pal.
We're
Pal.
we're dog.
well,
Pal
then,
the
well, then
second.
tell me about Pepe, because we were about to get to him. Where did he come from? Or was that, because that was Pally that was from Oklahoma, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tell me about Pepe.
Peppy came from West Virginia.
He did. We had just gotten married,
Yeah.
and I just had a new car,
Okay.
so I drove all the way to West Virginia in my new car.
And in the new car, it was an Impala 2016. She caught herself driving so excited, and she didn't realize she was driving 100 miles an hour. It rides so smooth, so
didn't
she
have
had
to
to
tell
like,
that.
whoa.
Okay. So
Pull
you
back and
Yeah,
set the,
that's okay. We
so-
don't. We
set
don't
the
have. You
cruise
don't,
control.
You don't have to tell all my
So,
secrets.
so law enforcement, ignore this
Yes,
part of the
please.
story. Well, at least you didn't get a ticket.
I know, but I slowed
and now
down
you
and
know,
put on
and now
cruise
you know to
control.
watch and not drive that fast
Right,
because it's
exactly.
not safe.
But
So
she
there was a
also
lesson.
didn't check the weather before she went, so it turned cold.
Oh, it was, and I just left from work. They called me and said, you know, you can come adopt your new baby, and so I did, and I just left from work. I had on a cute little summer thing, and it was cold in West Virginia, so yeah.
Well, you never know when you leave like that and you're driving. I mean, we had to drive one of our dogs across the country when we lived in Washington from here, and we were driving along. It was April, everything was nice, and then we hit Utah and we have snow. And we weren't really prepared for that either. I mean, we were freezing to death when we were stopping the car for her to go to the bathroom. So it's you just don't know what's going to happen with weather. Now you have a fourth dog, correct?
We do. He's Heinz 57.
Well, he's
Something-ish.
Chihuahua.
Ish.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's a brown Chihuahua. His name is Fella.
So another small dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
7 pounds
Yeah.
ish. But Fella, we cared for a friend of ours in her final days, and Fella was one of her dogs, and he was the one that was very protective, and so he would nip you
Yeah.
if you tried to do something. We'd always have to get him out, but nobody really wanted Fella. Except Melissa, so
I know he was.
You just
but
couldn't
I
leave him.
know. But there were all these shishi dogs, all the Frenchies. They went,
Yeah.
first, and and then there was Bella.
But Fella he and Pal are besties, and so they stay in the same kennel at night.
Yeah.
Not kennel. What do you?
A little crate or
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Yeah. But it's just been fantastic because they get out in the yard and just play and run and carry on like crazy.
That's great. And it's nice that you were able to do that for your friend and take in the dog, because in talking to the shelter manager here, she's been having a lot of dogs coming in after people pass away and their families don't know what to do, don't want the dogs, and it's nice to have somebody who can do that, and it's nice to have a plan. I don't know if your friend had a plan or if you just stepped in and took care of it, but it's nice to have a plan.
We told her we would
Yeah.
take care of the dogs, and so they're all in good homes. Before Melissa and I were married, well, even after we were married, I rescued horses.
Okay.
When I lived in North Georgia, so we've been part of rescuing critters for a long time, and horses, dogs, they all love unconditionally when you rescue them from dire situations. There's nothing more loyal than that bond that is created.
Absolutely, and we see that so often with dogs from our shelter here. You know, when we hear the stories, and we're out at events, and people come by with a dog they adopted and show it to us, and they usually have a story like that that they just love that animal and it's so appreciative of them. And you know, we always hope that people can see that when they
Sometimes it takes a while with animals that have suffered trauma, but
it does.
You know, sometimes they're just like, yes, I'm home. You know, I'm in a place. They know when you love them.
They do.
And, yeah.
And they have a 3-3-3 rule. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No.
Like
What is that?
Like when you adopt a dog, it takes 3 days for them to really kind of decompress and calm down from being in whatever situation they were in before. Then it takes 3 weeks for them to really start showing their personality and get settled in. But then it takes 3 months for you to really see that personality and really see them get settled. So, you know, we often ask people when they adopt to please give them a little bit of time, because you don't know the dog that you have until it can get settled in where you are. So it's and it's great when you do get to that end point and see what a great life that they can have and you can provide them and they can give you too. So
Fella loves his mom,
Yeah.
but he's a daddy's boy.
well, we appreciate y'all so much for coming on the show.
Thank
Tell us
you.
your dog stories and tell us about your beautiful home in Talladega and Sammy's Antiques. So make sure to follow them on Facebook, Sammy's Antiques and More, and head out to see them. And come out to the shelter this weekend, help us walk dogs, and come out to meet Gunther. And when you meet all these dogs at the shelter, one thing that I often wonder is, what kind of job could these dogs have once they're adopted? And could they be trained to be some kind of service dog? And then that makes me wonder, who was the first person to decide to train a dog to support the blind? So stick with us on Daybreak this morning, and we're all going to find out.